Now let's talk about responsible AI. When we can say a AI is responsible, what are the concepts that a AI should follow to be called responsible? So first one is the interpretability. So interpretability in this case is like the user, if they want to know how that decision is made, then the model is able to answer that. So again, it can tell you like from where this source, on which source it brought this answer from, okay, and how it reached to that answer. So that's a interpretability. So a responsible AI model would be able to tell you how it reached to that decision. Next is the transparency. Transparency also sounds similar to interpretability, but it is much different. So transparency actually talks about how your model is built and trained and its features and limitation. In the interpretability, we were talking about the reasons behind your decision making. Okay, the output which you are getting, how it reaches to that output. That is the interpretability. But the transparency talks about how your model is built and what all data it is trained on and what all features it has and what all limitations it has. So that's the transparency. Next is the safety. So safety is like the model has to avoid toxic and harmful contents. So obviously we don't want a model to provide any toxic, harmful or disturbing contents. Next is the fairness. So this is like avoiding the bias. So the model should always be uh, promotes inclusion. It should never have a bias. So it should be fair across all the individuals, all the groups. There shouldn't be any bias in your responsible AI model. Next is the privacy and security. So again, the data leakage, which we have seen in the challenges, should be avoided. There shouldn't be any data leakage from your model. Next one is the veracity and robustness. So this is like your model has to be reliable even in cases when the conditions are unexpected. Even in the worst case scenarios, your model should not get stuck. It should be reliable. Okay, so that's the robustness. So next we will talk about the responsible AI trade-offs. The first trade-off is between the interpretability and performance. So we have talked about interpretability. Interpretability was how the model reached to a decision that we need to tell to the user if asked, or maybe we can just show like what is the source of the information. But but a model which is having a higher interpretability will have a lower performance. Why it is so? Because if we simply ask the model like what a question, and it doesn't have to worry about where it's bringing this information from and all, so it can simply work and bring your answer. But when we ask it, when it has to keep a track of how this answer is being formed, so it has to put a extra efforts over there, right? So obviously the performance would reduce. So if we are increasing the interpretability, the performance can be decreased. Next is the transparency versus safety. So transparency, we have seen it talks about how your model is developed, how your model is trained, how it is built, right? So obviously there has to be a limit in the transparency. If we are increasing the transparency, it is going to be a safety concern because it can expose some of the things which we don't want the users to know, the customers to know, and it can lead to a safety concern. So higher transparency means lower safety. So again, it's a trade-off between transparency and safety. Next one is the overfitting and underfitting. So overfitting and underfitting we discussed when we were discussing this bias and variance. So again, overfitting and underfitting, we already discussed at that time. Like if the model is more complex, then it will be it can lead to overfitting, and if it's more simple, then it can be underfitting. So we have to have a balance of the complexity of the model to save us from both overfitting and underfitting. We have to keep that balance in between. So that's all about responsible AI.